equations using elimination. When you use elimination, you combine the two equations, you add them. Well, this one is set up nicely because when I add these two equations, I'm going to add like terms, and you see that this term and this term are additive inverses. They're opposite of each other. Okay, so when we have opposites of each other, the best system to choose, the best method, is elimination. So what happens when we add these equations is 2x and 4x give me 6x, not x squared, we didn't multiply. Remember, when you add them, you just add the coefficients. And because these two are additive inverses, they cancel out. So 3y minus 3y is 0. So that disappears. It eliminates. Okay? And then you get 1 and 11 is 12. So now I divide both sides by 6, and x is equal to 2. How easy was that? So this method is quite nice when you have added inverses for either the x term or the y term. Now I still need to find y, so I'm going to pick one equation. It doesn't really matter which one you pick. So I'm going to pick the first one. So 4 plus 3y equals 1, and 3y equals negative 3, so y equals negative 1. Now I want to tell you that you can still check your work using the calculator. But before you plug these into the calculator, you need to solve for y. So I'm going to pause this video for just a second, and I want you to solve both of these equations for y so that we can solve in the calculator. Okay, so we put these equations in y-intercept form so that we could graph them. Did you graph those in your calculator? Here's what it should look like in your calculator. I use the fraction key, so it looks exactly like what we had. Now I'm graphing those. And you can see that the intersection, remember I can count this. It's 2, negative 1. I can count this, or I can intersect it. I can calculate the intersection by going through this process, and you see that the intersection is 2, negative 1. So checking your work with each problem is certainly something that's possible. All right. Let's take a look at number 2. So as we add these, the x's cancel out. So you can see, change back to a pen, that negative 5x and 5x is nothing. 2y and negative 6y is negative 4y. And negative 7 and negative 9 is negative 16. So y equals positive 4, because negative divided by negative is positive. So now I need to come back up and pick one equation to find the x. Well, I don't like this negative. You can still get the right answer, but the negative might throw you off. So I'm going to pick the second equation, just because I like the way it looks a little better. So the second equation is 5x minus 6 times 4 equals negative 9. 5x minus 24 equals negative 9. So 5x, negative 9, and positive 24, because it's moving to the other side. What's negative 9 and positive 24, Hector? Add it for me. What is it? 15. So x is 3. So my ordered pair for this is 3, 4. Now, again, you could put these equations in y-intercept form and graph them to see the solution. So there's another way to do that. I forgot to press my record button, so I'm going to go back and do that. So multiplying by -1 for the second one was what we chose as a strategy for solving this problem. -2, 2x times -1 is -2x. -4y times -1 is 4y, and -1 times 18. And then I add these. The -2x and the positive 2x give me 0, y and 4y is 5y, 8 and -18 is -10, and -10 divided by 5 is -2. So now I need to plug that into one equation. I'm going to pick this one. You could pick the other one. This one looks easier to me. The other one may look easier to you. So 2x plus -2, that's the y, equals 8. So 2x equals 10, and x equals 5. So the ordered pair that is my solution is 5, -2. Okay, here's number 4. So we want to make the y's cancel out. Again, multiplying one of these equations by -1 would make the y's cancel out, wouldn't it? So it doesn't matter which one you multiply by -1. Pick one. Which one do you think you would pick, Tech One? The bottom one. So let's multiply this equation by -1. So it's -4x plus 6y equals 26. I like that one too because the 26 is now positive, isn't it? So that's going to make things nicer in the end. The other equation I'm leaving as is. And then I'm just going to add these. So this is -x. This cancels out, so we don't have any y's. And this is 2. So if -x is 2, then x equals 2. So now I'm going to pick one of the equations, doesn't matter which one you pick, to find y. So I'm going to pick the first one this time. So 3 times 2 minus 6y equals -24. So 6 minus 6y equals -24. -6y, subtract 6 from both sides, you get -30, don't you? So y has to be 5. So the solution is 2, 5. Second equation by 3. You multiply the second equation by 3, then the y's cancel out, don't they? So we have 6x minus 6y equals -12. The first equation was 5x plus 6y equals 12. So 11x, this is 0, equals 0. Well, what number times 11 gives me 0? 0. Well, I can still have a first coordinate of 0. So I'm going to pick one. I like this one because it doesn't have any negatives in it. So 5 times 0 plus 6y equals 12. So 6y equals 12, and y equals 2. So my ordered pair is 0, 2. Apply the first equation by 2. So the x's cancel out. So if you are not started yet, multiply the first equation by 2 to get started. What happens if I multiply this equation by 2, this one by 2, I get 8x minus 6y equals 8. And keep that equation, -8x plus 5y equals -4. Add these, the x's cancel. This becomes -y equals 4. And if negative y equals 4, then positive y has to be negative 4. Now I'm going to pick one equation. I like the first one because it doesn't start with a negative. So that's why I picked it. You can pick the second one if you want. But 4x minus 3 times negative 4 equals negative 4. So 4x plus 12 equals negative 4. Subtract 12 from both sides, so 4x equals negative 16. So x equals negative 4. So my ordered pair is negative 4, negative 4. Okay, as you look ahead to number 7, as you look ahead to number 7, do you think it would be easier for the x's or the y's to cancel out? The x's. If I multiply this first equation by negative 4, then the x's will cancel out. Do you see why I picked negative 4? Okay, so multiply that first equation by negative 4. It's going to be negative 8x minus 28y equals negative 36. 8x minus 4y. I kept the second equation the same. The x's cancel out. So this is negative 32y equals negative 32. So y equals negative 1. It doesn't matter which one you plug it in. I like the first one because there aren't any negatives in it. So I'm going to keep the first one. 2x plus 7 times negative 1 equals 9. So 2x minus 7 equals 9. Add 7 to both sides and you get 16. So you get the x is 8. Okay, there's an error in this problem. Can you find it? Where's the error? Around there. Isn't negative divided by negative positive? So if you make one mistake, see we plugged in positive 1 here, then that makes this one wrong. So this would be a good example of why you need to check your work on those calculators. So this turns out to be plus 7, and then this is now take away. So this is negative 2, isn't it? No, it's positive 2, 9 minus 7. So isn't x 1? So this one was wrong, but it looks right, didn't it? Okay, let's go through that again. Let's change that up. Here was the problem. We had a negative and we needed a positive. So if we go back and plug in the positive 1 and not the negative 1, and I wanted to show you the reason we check our answers. So y was 1. So 2x plus 7 times 1, not negative 1. We got negative 1 when we did that first, okay? So this is 2x plus 7 equals 9. Subtract 7 from both sides, and 2x is 2. So x is 1. So the correct answer is 1, 1. But the other one looked nice, didn't it? But had you graphed these, like we talked about with that first problem, you would have seen that that wasn't the case. So a good reason to check your answers for that. Multiply the first equation by positive 3 to make the y's cancel out. Multiply the first equation by 3 to make the y's cancel out. So this is 12x plus, negative 3. Negative 12x plus, because negative times negative is positive, 9y equals negative 21. What I did was I multiplied this first equation times negative 3. Now I'm going to add the second equation to that. So again, the solution to that one turns out to be 4, -3. Okay, we are finished with the first side. You need to finish the second side before I see you on Thursday. The back side of that is due on Thursday, and some of you have some makeup work to do. I'll see you after school to do that makeup work.